training and to employment programmes.
The Dublin City manager, Owen Keegan, staunchly defended his role in the Garth Brooks concert saga when he went before the Transport Committee today. He was robustly challenged by TDs, as Sinead Hussey now reports.
The tale of Garth Brooks, the 5 concerts and the 400,000 fans continued to dominate discussion. At the Oireachtas Transport Committee today, Dublin City manager Owen Keegan was forced to defend his role in the handling of the licences for the Croke Park concerts.
I am satisfied that the statutory event licensing procedure was applied correctly in this particular case by the City Council, and that the decision reached was appropriate, balanced and reasonable, having regard to all the competing interests. This is especially the case given the relationship that exists between Croke Park and neighbouring residents. Nothing that has occurred since the decision was made has changed my opinion that the decision was appropriate, balanced and reasonable. It is, of course, open to any individual or organisation who thinks otherwise to initiate judicial review proceedings and challenge the decision. I should state, however, that any such proceedings will be vigorously defended by the City Council.
Fianna Fáil's Timmy Dooley questioned the manager on the proposal of 4 concerts.
You were prepared to give 4, we understand, if Mr Keogan had acted on your conversations with Aikens. So we were now at 4. We've gone from 1 to 4. And you're saying that, however, 5 would have been a major departure for the City Council. 4 wouldn't have been a major departure, but 5 would. Now, I find that hard to comprehend, Mr Keegan, how a major departure would be 5 and 4 wouldn't.
Mr Keegan went on to explain that while he did make an offer of 4, he now regretted it.
The position I'm in is that I'm going to be criticised if I respond with any degree of flexibility, and I'm going to be criticised if I don't respond. I made a judgment, given the importance of these concerts, to go the extra way to see if we could get the concerts. And I made that offer. It wasn't a commitment, it was an offer to raise the matter with the decision maker, but there was no flexibility forthcoming on the other side. I can be rightly criticised, I think, for making that offer, and looking back now I probably regret that I did, but I did feel it was important to go the extra, make an extra effort to get these concerts for Dublin. There was no indication on the other side, or they weren't prepared to take anything less, and being presented with a 5 or nothing, it's very difficult in the context of a very sensitive planning application, I think, to deal with that. I withdrew the offer. I didn't have that conversation. I don't know what the outcome would have been. And I think, yes, I could be rightly criticised for showing that flexibility.
Fine Gael's Paudie Coffey said the saga raised serious questions about the licensing system.
I was a member of a local authority for 8 years myself. There's a statutory process there, and that has been clearly outlined by the manager, and I think it's important that politicians, and also those that I would consider that are in the know, and I would include representative bodies, promoters, business people, that they also would have been fully aware of the statutory process that is and has been in place. What seems to me is that statutory process has now been shown that there is clear deficiencies with it in terms of organising national events. And you know, it would seem to me that there is a need, and it's work for another day, a review of the whole licensing process, and maybe we should have definitive licensing for large national venues like Croke Park.
Sinn Féin's Mary Lou MacDonald then raised the issue of bogus complaints.
In good faith, all we can do is acknowledge them and see if we get any feedback. And when we do get feedback, and we got feedback in 11 cases, we withdrew those from the file.
So, in terms of verifying any objections or observations that are made in a case like this, the sole verification procedure is to send a communication of acknowledgement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you consider that to be sufficient?
In the light of this particular case, I'd have to review that, but we don't have the resources, and it's not clear.
No, I'm not asking about resources. I'm asking. Excuse me, Mr. Keegan, if you wouldn't mind. I'm not asking about resources. I'm asking whether or not you regard that to be a sufficient verification for objections.
In the aftermath of this, I think it raises questions about kind of an open invitation, public consultation process without any either fee required or any evidence required to be submitted with it. I think it does raise legitimate questions.
A house owned by the Executive Manager of Planning and Economic Development at Dublin City Council, Jim Keogan, close to Croke Park, then came into focus, and he was forced to defend it had any bearing on the decision made.
You've raised the issue as regards conflict of interest or bias insofar as that, yes, I born and bred in Clonmel Gardens. which is in the shadow of Croke Park. I spent 25 years of my life there. My family home is still there. My son and his wife live there. And I don't think it has altered my decision-making and judgment in relation to the proposed applications before me.
The committee will hear from Aiken Promotions and the GAA tomorrow. Later, the committee heard from the Independent Broadcasters of Ireland, representing Ireland's independent commercial broadcasters. The chair of